Hunter Biden indicted on federal firearms charges weeks after a failed plea deal. And joining us right now is president of the Government Accountability Institute and the host of the Drill Down podcast, Peter Schweizer. Good morning to you, Peter. We knew this would come down before the end of the month, but do you think we're going to see a trial in 2024 during the height of the campaign season? And how much do you expect this to affect the president's reelection run?
Yeah, I'm kind of doubtful that this is actually going to go to trial. Look, the prosecutor in this case, Mr. Weiss, has already tried to plea this down. That plea deal was, of course, rejected by the judge in Delaware. But I still think that they're probably going to want to plea this deal. So I think it's doubtful we're going to see a court case, a court trial during an election year. I think this is the smallest of the major issues or potential charges that Hunter Biden and his father, Joe Biden, are facing. So this issue is not going to go away. This issue, of course, relates to the gun charge, which is Hunter Biden specifically. The other charges that are potentially out there relate to violating the Foreign Agents Registration Act, potentially other issues that would actually involve his father, the President of the United States. So I think the biggest shoe is yet to drop.
So tell us about some of those other issues and some of those other charges that you do expect will come down eventually.
Yeah, so you've got the congressional investigation, which is leading towards a impeachment investigation, not necessarily impeachment, but impeachment investigation. That could certainly present evidence that the independent counsel or somebody else could use to bring charges. But the charges involve a couple of things. One, there's certainly the tax charges involving Hunter Biden. His failure to pay taxes. The second issue is the Foreign Agents Registration Act, which requires you to register with the Department of Justice if you are representing a foreign government or a foreign company before a U.S. government official. In this particular case, that U.S. government official is Hunter Biden's father, but that makes no difference. It's pretty clear now that he did present issues to his father, and he failed to register under that act. But then there are the larger issues revolving around issues potentially of bribery charges or something else. That's, I think, going to be determined by what evidence comes out of the congressional investigation and what, if anything, the independent counsel is doing to investigate those matters.
Why do you think it's taken so long for us to hear anything about those particular potential charges?
Yeah, I was kind of optimistic at the beginning that this was going to move pretty quickly. That was 5 years ago. Boy, was I wrong. I think the reason, Jan, is pretty clear. These IRS whistleblowers came out, and it seems pretty clear that David Weiss, the U.S. attorney who's been investigating for 5 years, was under a lot of political pressure from the defense attorneys by Hunter Biden. They basically said this is going to wreck your career if you bring charges. I think the second thing, though, is that Mr. Weiss didn't seem to really have his heart in this. The whistleblowers allege, and there seems to be considerable evidence, that he was essentially, or people from his office, were tipping off the Hunter Biden team as to what their investigation was. So I don't think David Weiss, now that he's U.S. moves from U.S. attorney to a special counsel, is going to be any more vigorous. I think if we're going to see any new evidence come forward, it's going to be from the congressional side rather than the Department of Justice
Should
side.
Weiss still be on the case since he's already shown he would accept a plea deal?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, look, what you want in our criminal justice system is a prosecutor who's serious and aggressive, and a defense attorney that is aggressive and protective of their client. In this case, you certainly have the aggressive and protective defense attorney. You have not had a prosecutor that seems to go after it. So I said, no, I think appointing him an independent counsel was kind of a move to cover, to save face for the Department of Justice, but he is not the one that should be engaging in this investigation, and I don't have much confidence that anything's going to come of it in any kind of substantive way. Especially
when you know that he could have done this before agreeing to a plea deal with Hunter's previous legal team before that all fell apart. All right, Peter Schweizer with the Government Accountability Office. Always great to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.